The Eastern Conference is as open as it ever has been, with the previous Eastern Conference champions in the Indiana Pacers imploding on themselves with Tyrese Halliburton's injury and Miles Turner leaving for the Bucks, and the former NBA champions out of the Eastern Conference and the Boston Celtics completely blowing up their team, trading away Jrue Holiday, Porzingis, and Tatum getting injured for their entire season. That leaves two teams in the East that really hold the stronghold at the top, being the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And coming into this upcoming season, these teams have the same floor, which is the Eastern Conference Finals. If these teams don't make the Eastern Conference Finals, this will be a failure of a season, because time is now to make the NBA Finals. And if it doesn't take any luck here, it just takes your team being able to conquer that hill. Both these teams have had failures in the past, but now it's now or never. Knicks going into year 2 with this core of Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl Anthony Towns, with major adjustments to their bench throughout the offseason and acquiring Jordan Clarkson, Malcolm Brogdon, and Yabusele, and also hiring a brand new coach. This New York Knicks team is capitalizing on this window right now. No, there are still some major question marks within this team, such as what is Mike Brown going to really implement going into the season, and how different is he really going to be compared to Thibodeau? Well, starters, new face, new locker room, new schemes, and new sets. You kind of get a different gist of the offense and the defensive schemes of Mike Brown compared to Tibbs. Tibbs is a little more old school than Mike Brown. Even though Mike Brown is still an old school coach, he's not as old school as Thibodeau, because Thibodeau is going to ride and die by his starters no matter what is going on in the game, which usually ends up hurting this team more than helping. Unlike Mike Brown, who usually gives a little more leeway to his bench, but he doesn't tend to play young players just like Tibbs. So players like Tyler Kolak might not see the court that much this season, even though I believe he should be getting some burn. I've been saying this since last year. They need a guy like Tyler Kolak, who's a primary playmaker and facilitator. But nonetheless, they acquired Malcolm Brogdon to kind of fill into that role, because last year it was obvious and clear they lacked playmaking and passing. As good as Jalen Brunson is, he is a primary scorer. He's not looking to get others involved outside of himself. Just like everyone else on the team, same thing with Cat. Cat is going to pull 35 footers instead of trying to find the open man and create for others. That was a recipe for disaster for the Knicks. The Knicks didn't have clear identity on offense. It was Jalen Brunson cook. Oh, Jalen Brunson can't cook. Cat, your turn. You can cook. Oh, Cat can't cook. Okay, Mikal, pull some random bullshit fadeaway and save the day. Oh, here comes Josh Hart for the offensive rebound. Repeat. Do it again. You know? So it's just, you tend to kind of get stagnant with the offensive end when it comes to later in games. And we saw that a lot in the Indiana series. Indiana capitalized on the fact that the Knicks did not know what they were doing. They tended to go into the same thing, especially late game scenarios in fourth quarter, where it came to Jalen Brunson, please save us. And Jalen Brunson did not save them in Indiana. Last year felt like a clear layup to make the NBA Finals. They conquered the former champions, the Boston Celtics, in 6 games. Even if Tim didn't get hurt, the Knicks were going to win that series. Going into it against the Pacers, everyone, including myself, I thought the Knicks were going to steamroll the Pacers. It felt like that they had every recipe to kind of slow them down, but the Pacers ran them out of the gym. They used the fact that the Knicks only ran a 6-man rotation, and they knew that they would get tired. They kept running, and by the time the fourth quarter came, the Knicks were losing their legs over and over again, to the point where that in literally game 1 of the series, the Knicks held a 16-point lead with less than 3 minutes to go. And because they started settling, fatigue started to come in. What do you think happened? We all know what happened.
He'll backpedal a 3 for the win, and goal! He got it!
So now the Knicks went into the offseason thinking they missed their shot. Halliburton gets hurt, the window opens up all over again. Tatum's also hurt. Window's still open. The Bucks suck, but window is still open. The Knicks have major offensive problems. They have 2 offensive great talents, but they struggled last year in making it so that they're able to play with each other and not just like you take the ball, I take the ball, you take the ball, I take the ball. I think this year should be more implemented in the fact that they should be running the offense together. And defensively, this Knicks team has what it takes to be a good defensive team. It's just about their schemes and their sets and the effort on the defensive end. The major problem last year was their paint protection. Karl-Anthony Towns is not a rim protector. So that's when Mitchell Robinson has to step up and try to be as healthy as possible. Because if Mitch goes down for any extended period of time, it's going to go downhill, just like we saw last year. Cat was one of the worst paint protectors in the league. Kind of every time Cat was in the paint, it was basically an open layup. Cat has always been bad defensively, so you have to surround him. He has to be surrounded with great defensive players at all times, just like what happened in Minnesota. They surrounded him with Ant, Jaden McDaniels, and Rudy Gobert to kind of hide his defensive deficiencies and make him look better on defense than he actually was. But on the Knicks right now, yes, they do have OG, and yes, they do have Mikal, but there isn't any other paint protection in the paint, so Cat can have that weak side help to not make him look as bad. But when Cat is that weak side help, you tend to give up a lot at the rim. And to make matters worse, when your point guard's barely 6 feet tall and can't guard a traffic cone, you tend to give up a lot. And especially when there's no backline help for him, majority of the time, because that's Cat, you give up a lot on the defensive end. So it's about team defense, with Josh Hart, Mikal, OG, and if Mitch is on the court, have to pick up for their slack at all times, it gets tiring. Just like on offensive end, it gets tiring. So the Knicks have a lot to figure out. They have the recipe to be a finals team, but the only team that's standing in their way is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now, speaking on the Cavs have a lot going into the season. Another failure of a playoff run. This is going into year 4. Year 1, they lost to the Knicks in 5 games. You chalk it up to it being year 1. They're going to figure it out. Year 2, they lost to the defending champions. Again, in 5 games. You chalk it up to, okay, wait. Jared Allen was hurt. Donovan Mitchell missed 2 to 3 games. We're good. Year 3, you match up against Indiana Pacers in round 2. You lose that one in 5 games. You say, okay, we're good. We chalk it up to Darius Garland near surgery on his toe. Mobley missed a couple of games in this series. We're fine. This is year 4 now. It's enough of the excuses. It's now or never. If the Cleveland Cavaliers can't capitalize on the fact that the Eastern Conference is theirs, you have to blow it up this offseason. They have what it takes. They have the Twin Towers in the paint in Jared Allen. They have a Mobley. And last year, we saw a big jump in Mobley's offensive game. Kind of like Kenny Atkinson is really pushing Mobley to be that secondary scorer and be the clear-cut second best player on this team and potentially even be the best player on the team, depending on how great defensively he is this season. Mobley is definitely their best defender, but it's just about, can he really unlock the offensive game and have consistent offensive nights, night after night. And we all know who Donovan Mitchell is. He is a walking bucket. When you need a bucket the most, there's a handful of players in the league that you would rather go to, not named Donovan Mitchell. A lot of people tend to sleep on him. Last year, even with Mobley and Garland out, he was willing the Cavs to try to beat the Pacers. He had a damn near 50 ball against the Pacers, but unfortunately no one else in that game stepped up with Donovan, so that caused them to lose that game, and this series is over. The Pacers ran them out the gym time after time, but this year the Cavs look like they should be better. They made some rough around the edges moves, which was basically just trading Isaac Okoro for Lonzo Ball, a more versatile point guard who could kind of run the 1 through 3 because he is 6'6", a great defender. He's been a better spot-up shooter throughout his career, and also a well-needed passer and playmaker. Because then again, same thing with the Knicks. The Cavs never really had a great passer and playmaker. As good as Darius Garland is, he isn't a pass-first type point guard, and he really isn't looking to get others involved that often. Even though he probably is their best passer and playmaker, you can always get better. And that's when you insert a guy like Lonzo Ball, who's a perfect role player. I love to say Lonzo is generally the perfect role player. He knows how to find his spots, find other spots, and get everyone involved. Even with all the injuries he had in his career, Lonzo Ball is going to come into this year surprising everyone. His stats might not look great, but his impact on the court will be noticeable. One thing Kenny Atkinson has done last year, unlock the duos inside the Cavs. What I mean by that is, last year, whether it's Donovan and Mobley, or Donovan and Allen, or Garland and Mobley, or Garland and Allen, you kind of saw those pick and rolls, pick and pops, the lobs, everything was working in their favor. It was kind of hard to stop either of those people when they're running a pick and roll. You tend to kind of just give up a lot of points inside because you don't know whether or not you could stop the lob or stop the easy floaters for Donovan and Garland. It was a lot for teams to kind of adjust around. And when you insert a perfect 3-man and in DeAndre Hunter, which they acquired last year, you tend to be the step in the right direction. The Cavs this year, it's do or die. They've done all they can to put an adequate team around their core 4 players. Scoring wise, offensively, there shouldn't be a problem. Defense has been their problem only because of their backcourt. The backcourt of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are both 6'2", 6'3". When you have a backcourt that's that small, your perimeter defense tends to be lacking. That's why we saw a lot of zone be ran last year by the Cavs, where Mobley was the one that's playing up on the zone, being in that front. Instead of it being Garland and Donovan, you tend to see Mobley up there to kind of soften the blow and have Jalen Allen as a backline help. The Cavs have everything they need to be a finals team. But whether or not are the lights going to be too bright again, Mr. Jared Allen, or can they finally conquer the hump of the Eastern Conference? This is year 4. I've been saying this all video long. It is do or die. I am tired of the same old thing with this team, with that they have a great regular season and then tend to crumble in the playoffs. But I always say, injuries, they're getting hurt in crucial moments. At some point, you have to realize, yes, they are getting hurt, so it's time to move on. This team can't hold together much longer. And right now, if they don't make the NBA Finals, scratch the conference finals. Because if they make the conference finals and lose to the Knicks, what does that accomplish for you guys? You made a conference finals appearance for the first time since LeBron James? Congratulations. This was your only window of opportunity to make the NBA Finals. After this, it's done. The Cavs have a lot of questions to be answered. Same thing with the Knicks. This year, it's do or die for both of these teams. Because you are now going into some hard answer questions come off season if neither of these teams exceed expectations. But let me know what you guys think of the Knicks and the Cavs in the comments down below. And let me know, am I putting too high of a ceiling on these teams? Maybe they aren't that good. Maybe they're a team that might surprise us, that who knows. But is it really do or die for either of these teams, or am I being over dramatic? And as always, go hard on them dudes. Salute.